Something doesn't seem right here. Headline at WNBA.com. Wilson Buckner lead after first returns of fan voting for the WNBA All-Star game. Let me make sure I'm understanding this correctly. The WNBA One-Star game, which was appropriately named 2 years ago, when the only star in the 30-year existence of this dump of a league decided to commit to the profession of make-believe basketball. Of course, One-Star has dual meaning here. Not only does it represent Caitlin Clark as the only star in the history of the league, One Star also represents the rating for this unbelievably bad product on the court. According to the WNBA, Caitlin Clark is not the leading vote getter for the game that was actually named in her honor. Check it out for yourself. Believe it or not, this is not the missing persons list along with the amount of pesos that were spent trying to find them. According to the WNBA, these are the biggest stars in their league. Jessica Shepard, Gabby Williams, Kel Mitchell. Who, and who? Kel Mitchell? Wasn't Kel Mitchell one of the stars in the 90s on Kenan and Kel on Nickelodeon? I thought he grew up and became a pastor. I didn't realize that he was moonlighting as a pretend basketball player in the WNBA dump. As you can see, Caitlin Clark is nowhere close to being the face of the WNBA, at least according to this list. There are 4 players who 99% of the country couldn't pick out of a one-photo lineup. There are 4 players who are supposedly more popular than Caitlin Clark. Since her fan base is constantly comparing her popularity to the icon of icons, Michael Jordan, I did a little bit of comparing this afternoon. In Michael Jordan's 3rd year in the league, he led the NBA in All-Star voting. And he led the league for 7 consecutive years until he decided to retire and play baseball. Once he returned, the undisputed icon led the league in All-Star voting for the final 2 years of his NBA career. Now, her first 2 years in the league, Caitlin Clark led the WNBA in All-Star voting. Last year, she led the league while she barely played. If I remember correctly, I don't think Caitlin Clark even played in last year's All-Star game. I think she was the coach. She was trying to teach so-called stars how to properly play basketball. But in her 3rd season this year, Caitlin Clark is barely in the top 5. And if some unknown teacher named Jessica Shepard gets her preschool class to cast enough votes, or if the lonely men who follow Angel Reese on social media take a break from spanking the wanker to cast votes, by this time next week, Caitlin Clark could fall out of the top 5. The question is, how in the hell did we get here? How is the undisputed face of the league losing what is essentially a popularity contest? According to her fan base, this is a conspiracy. They are diminishing the great white hope. This equity league is trying to spread the star power equally amongst their unknown players. You know, I don't always believe the conspiracies from Caitlin Clark fans, but I would not be surprised if they were right. I would not be surprised if the WNBA was manipulating the votes. For reasons unknown, the WNBA does not want the Great White Hope to be the face of their league. Uncle KC, that's right. It's reverse racism, damn it! I don't think it's reverse racism because they are desperately trying to make Paige Bueckers, or as the dozens of fans of the Dallas Wankers are now calling her, Captain Buckner. Captain? Captain. Really? Paige Bueckers is the captain? Captain of what? If Paige Bueckers becomes the captain of this league, the face of this league, she's going to be the captain of a rapidly sinking ship. The WNBA has been trying for years to make AJ Wilson the face of the league. Now, of course, AJ struggles to sell out home games in Las Vegas during the WNBA Finals. Paige Bueckers can't sell out home games in that microscopic Civic Center where the Wankers play their games in Dallas. Angel Reese is selling out home games in Atlanta. Yeah, I have seen high school gyms larger than that dump in Atlanta. If more than 3,000 people come to see Angel Reese, the fire marshal has to shut the game down. I am willing to consider this conspiracy from Caitlin Clark fans. I would not be surprised if the voting was being manipulated. But I don't think that is the only reason for this decline. I know Caitlin Clark fans don't want to hear this. I mentioned this the other night on Twitter, and some white dude who looked like Sasquatch had an emotional meltdown. How dare you disrespect my Caitlin? I am defending the honor of my future bride. She's never gonna reply to your DMs, kid. Might want to stock up on the batteries for your automated girlfriend. But all kidding aside, I know Caitlin Clark fans don't want to hear this, but her mainstream popularity is in decline. Now, in fairness to Caitlin Clark, when you're as popular as she was 2 years ago, there's really nowhere for you to go but down. Very few, and I mean very, very few, are able to maintain that level of popularity long term. But I didn't expect the decline to happen this quickly. And to be honest with you, I don't think most of this can really be blamed on Caitlin Clark. For starters, take a look at this. This graph shows first week votes for the All-Star game in 2025 and 2026. Now, as you can see, there is a drastic decline. Compared to last year, the number of votes has declined by more than 2 million, which is a 37% decrease. So where did 2 million people, where did 2 million votes go? Has the WNBA started requiring ID to vote? Have they implemented a new policy where illegals are no longer allowed to cast votes? Are votes being weighted? Meaning, in the interest of diversity and equity, do votes coming from marginalized groups count more than votes coming from the white man? Or, in the last 12 months, have 2 million people simply lost interest? You know, as she was entering the league a couple of years ago, I questioned whether Caitlin Clark would be enough to save the WNBA. And my questioning, it had less to do with her and more to do with the league itself. 2 years ago, Caitlin Clark was a superstar. Hell, she is still a superstar. But my concern was, once you remove the drama, and you gotta remember, one of the reasons Caitlin Clark became an overnight celebrity was because of that 2023 National Championship game with Angel Reese. The taunting, the controversy, the rivalry. The reason the WNBA was on fire in 2024 and not the usual flaming ass fire the league is, there was a perception that entitled WNBA players were jealous of Caitlin Clark. Now, whether it was real or not, which it was, but even if it wasn't real, the perception was the only thing that mattered. The perception was driving interest and ratings. Now, WNBA players have been paid. Kind of hard to be jealous, at least in the short term, when you're making dollars instead of breadcrumbs. Now that the drama throughout the league has settled down a bit, the rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese is now non-existent. All you're left with is the pretend basketball. And we have 30 years of data proving that is not enough, which is why I question whether Caitlin Clark, one player, would be enough to save a league filled with unskilled players. As dynamic as she is, as great of a player as Caitlin Clark is, how is she supposed to overcome this? Watch for yourself.
Stops, kick out to Reese, can't hit the tray.
Moore kicks it out to Nadia Paige. No, but Reese working from the perimeter, the spin move, that three-point shot. Miles throws it away. A 2-on-1 for Reese, who gallops to the rim.
Now it's Reese, the Euro. Doesn't get 45 points. Rim run. Reese couldn't finish it. Offensive rebound, second chance. It's Canada for three. Weak side board.
Look, I like Caitlin Clark. I wouldn't consider myself a Caitlin Clark fan. I think she is a great young woman. She's charismatic. She's likable. If I'm home and I'm bored on a Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, I'll watch Caitlin Clark. But I'm not going to go out of my way. I'm not going to adjust my schedule to watch her. I love basketball. I watch all 82 games of the NBA regular season. 2 years ago, Caitlin Clark in the Indiana Fever. They were compelling. Her games against Angel Reese were must-see TV. Last year, my interest was starting to decline a little bit, but there was still enough drama. There were enough storylines to keep me interested until Caitlin Clark got injured. But this year, I have tried on multiple occasions to watch the Indiana Clarks. Even though I detest make-believe basketball, I have watched with an open mind, mainly because I need something to watch during the summer. NFL preseason doesn't start until August, college football in September, NBA doesn't start until mid-October. I need something to get me through those summer months. But as a casual viewer, as someone who is not a dedicated fan, that spark, that magic with Caitlin Clark has vanished. And clearly, I'm not the only one who thinks this. There are 2 million fewer votes. The Indiana Fever are struggling to sell out home games. Haven't heard very much this season about road games being moved to NBA arenas due to increased demand for tickets. You can get mad. You can call me an asshole. You can claim I am unqualified because I don't waste my time watching every game. But those casual viewers, people like me, that's what's missing from the WNBA this season. My guess is it's the reason they are hiding a lot of their television ratings. People aren't watching like they were a couple of years ago because the product on the court, it's not compelling enough to maintain the interest of casual viewers. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.